good afternoon. You are still live on Ghana Talks Radio. And it's time for the cubicle with me, Lanza Haruna. The time is 32 minutes past 2 p.m. right here in Accra, Ghana. It's time for me to bring to you another edition of the cubicle. As you know, here on this show, we discuss issues that affect us as young people, our society, our respective communities, and the nation as a whole. But most importantly, we do these discussions in the perspective or through the lenses of the young person. So from wherever you are tuning in, I want to welcome you to the Cubicle Live on Ghana Talks Radio. We are streaming from Anya in the Greater Accra region, and we are live on www.ghanatalksradio.com. We are also live on YouTube and on Facebook at Ghana Talks Radio. Today we have a host of issues or topics that we will discuss. And I have the hope that things will be alright. So we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping say that one day things go better. Jale, oh Jale, here we go again. So on Monday, the NDC, the National Democratic Congress, the main opposition party, or even the only opposition party, held what they termed the True State of Nation address. This particular address was delivered by the national chairman of the party, the NDC, Mr. Seydou Nketia, at UPSA. The content of his address was so direct and comprehensive in that it contained all the issues, the key issues that affected the economy of this country. And from the NDC's perspective, an argument that Ghanaians should take or should consider and remove the NPP from government. So we'll review some parts of the address by Honorable Mr. Seydou Nketia, the chairman of the NDC. And the main question we're asking is that how true is the true state of nation by the NDC? Mind you, this particular true state of nation by the NDC was in counter to what the president had delivered in Parliament a week earlier. So we'll take a bite in that particular address. We'll also look at new electoral commissioners that were appointed by the president, His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. A lot of concerns or questions are being asked about the party affiliation of some of these particular new commissioners. We'll take a bite of that particular story as well. And then we will now look at ECGs going around with its pliers and scissors, cutting off light from public institutions. Some have made payments, including Parliament. But what we're looking at is that at what point to what extent do public institutions burden the country with more domestic debt? What is the solution going forward? Because you can't have ECG cutting the lights of Parliament or the Supreme Court, because these institutions are public institutions, and especially for organs like the Parliament and the judiciary, it will be far-fetched. But it's not far-fetched that they are actually owing. So how can we prevent these going forward? And what are the immediate impact that these particular situations have on hand on the economy of the country and even the administration of this institution? We'll discuss this live here on the Cubicle with me, Lansa Haruna. We are still live on Ghana Talks Radio. I also want to know what you think in the live comment or live chat sessions on Facebook and on YouTube. First of all, how true is the true state of nation of the NDC? And should party members be appointed into an electoral commission? What are the effects of this particular move that is being criticized by a lot, especially NDC? And then what do you feel about the fact that ECD is going around cutting lights off some public institutions? Or let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we get into a discussion right away. Live on the Cubicle with me, Lansa Haruna. Still can stay with me. We'll be right back after the short break. Yeah.
Hello Ghana, hello worldwide, and I'm with the level band. Now listen, every Tuesday and Friday, beyond the time it's going to carry bro. Our Ghana Talks Radio, 7 p.m. sharp. Now Tuesday, and we're gonna talk about our culture, our history. My 20 things set about Kwasem. Now on the Friday, and you bars on bars. You better rap, you better say no artists go join me in the studio. We're gonna discuss about music and business. Konya, or you singer, and now you rapper, you think say you get bars. You go be spit fire. Now listen, make you join me with studios. Our Ghana Talks Radio, and yes, say then our day. Me say download the Ghana Talks Radio app, no, our Play Store, any App Store. No tune in, and say this what you see, Baba Live on Facebook, Cointakra, any Ghana Talks Radio page, and so now listen, about your fire, 1 year, Konya, Wadding, Jajan.
On the 25th of March 2023, Akufo-Addo is going to turn up. Yeah. Ghana Talks Radio invades the city with the GTR Pool and Games Night Party. Saturday, the 25th of March 2023, live at the Canadian Dream Hotel. 2 streams. Akufo-Addo. Time is 3 p.m. till next day. Rate is a cool 40 Ghana cedis at the gate. Advance, grab 2 tickets, 70 Ghana cedis. There's going to be lots of games, raffle draws, and giveaways. Artists performing live. Strongman. Contact Kill Song, Crazy Baby, Rashid Metal, Silence, Ken Clay, Omar Benner, Ken Millie, Hopkins, Mr. G, Ants Blade, Obey, Tishan Ruler, Rainfall, and Johnny K, MCs, DJ Kinino, and Kobe Slim, DJ Slim B, DJ Rich, DJ Kobe Ray, DJ Charm, and DJ Raw. Grab your ticket from Canadian Dream Hotel for live haircut, Lumen Park, Rumor Spa, Bright FM, Eastin FM, Freedom FM, Mine FM, and KTU Campus. Sponsor Thames Flow Investments Limited, Thames Metal Corporation, GTR Sound, and BB Superfine Bakery. For sponsorship and ticket reservation, call 0202-544-614 or visit www.GhanaTalksRadio.com for more information. As a GTR Pool and Games Night Party, chill with the stars.
Wait, what? What happened? And what did you do? Have you ever heard a story or a dilemma that had you wanting more? Have you ever been in a situation with no one to turn to? Well, come and talk to Nans. Join us for Storytime every 2 weeks. Storytime is where we discuss your issues and give you advice with guest speakers. Look at it as your sister helping you out, giving you advice, and just having a good old conversation. So make sure you email us all of your issues and dilemmas now at storytime@GhanaTalksRadio.com. That's storytime@GhanaTalksRadio.com. Make sure you tune in. That's every 2 weeks. Every second Sunday on Ghana Talks Radio at 2 p.m. Listen back by visiting the podcast section on www.GhanaTalksRadio.com. We're waiting for you.
Every occasion demands the company of good music that fits the purpose. At GTR Sounds, we understand your need to create just the right atmosphere for your wedding or engagement, party, funeral, crusade, political campaign or rally, or just any other event, as well as executive and corporate functions. With our modern and high-quality vending machines, mixers, microphones, and power amplifiers, binary speakers, and subs, we offer the highest of sound quality and music play at events and functions. At GTR Sounds, We have a team of seasoned and highly experienced sound engineers who understand just the right choice of music for your event. Locate our studios at Aponchi Hotel in Anya or call our numbers 054-8522-897 or 027-3363-973. You can also reach via our email sounds@ghanatalksradio.com. At GTR Sounds, we take care of your event.
Nobody feeling the way I'm feeling tonight, yeah. And I have the hope that things will be alright, yeah. So we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping, say that one day things go better. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again.
So welcome back to the Cape Live on Ghana Talk Studio. With me, Lance. Like I said before the break, we're looking at first of all the NDC's True State of Nation address, and a lot of Ghanaians or followers or people who follow the politics of governance in Ghana. The background is that the President of the Republic actually went to Parliament to deliver the State of Nation address. In that particular address, he touted a lot of achievements of his government, of the MPP government, the government that he leads. And one of the updates included the IMF deal that we or the country is seeking to finalize by the end of March. Today is 22nd of March. So let's see how that one goes. We discussed that on Monday, but today the focus is going to be on the True State of Nation, in quotation, the nation address by the NDC. Now, this particular address was delivered by the chairman of the party, Mr. Asido Nketia. And basically what they did was that he came and said that the kind of economic crisis that we have or we are in is not, it was caused by the MPP, and they should, or the MPP should know what, should just stop blaming other factors, other people, other elements, but themselves. So, you know, one of the or two of the key main arguments that this government has always had to cause or to say that it has been the reason why we've gone into this particular crisis as a country, economic crisis as a country, is that one, COVID, and two, Ukraine and Russia war. And that these particular elements, this particular situation, these particular phenomena have played a very critical or key role in what? In affecting the economy of the country. So this has been the excuses. Now, a lot of people have mentioned over-borrowing recently, or just even today or yesterday. Professor Ade also mentioned that we are here because the country or the government borrowed to a point where they shouldn't have borrowed to. But that has never been admitted by this particular government or by the Akufo-Addo led government. Now, the NDC on Monday actually went to UPSC to come and say that you, the government, the excuse that you are giving are really not the excuses. You are looking to blame other people but yourself. And this is not new. This is actually not new from the NDC. Everybody or the party has always had the position that the government was reckless. The government has been reckless in managing the economy. The government has not been prudent in managing the economy. The government has actually a lot of words against the government. Now, this address, like I said, was done by the chairman of the NDC, Mr. Asido Nketia, and I just want us to listen a bit to what he said, some parts of what he discussed on Monday, so that we can come back and make meaning or try and make our own understanding of that particular address that he made. But basically, it was all against the government, saying that the government was totally responsible for the economic mess that we find ourselves in as a country. Let's listen to what he said, then we'll come back and then continue the discussion. Yeah.
Ghanaians want relief from the socio-economic pain and hardship visited on them by the MPP administration, and not flimsy excuses. Incontrovertible facts show that Ghana's economy showed signs of serious challenges even before COVID-19 struck. For instance, way before the first case of COVID-19 was recorded in Ghana in March 2020, the public debt had increased from 120 billion in 2016 to 225 billion in 2019, representing an increase of and 5 billion in the country's debt stock. COVID was nowhere. Ukraine and Russia had not even thought about fighting. Far from being the cause of economic collapse, COVID-19, in fact, brought the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government an unprecedented windfall of about 30 billion Ghana cedis to manage and mitigate the impact of the pandemic. Unfortunately, this was largely wasted on election-related expenses. This amount excludes proceeds from the obnoxious COVID-19 levy, which Ghanaians continue to pay till date. The destruction of the economy by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government permeates every sector of the nation. For instance, growth rate of the agriculture sector has seen a decline from 2.7% in 2016 to 0.7% in 2022. And I would say this is the harvest from the Planting for Food and Jobs program, which has received billions of taxpayer and donor funds. Similarly, the growth rate for the manufacturing sector has also declined from 7.9% in 2016 to 4.5% in 2022, thereby calling into question the impact of the much vaunted 1D, 1F program. Further, the growth rate for the construction sector has also declined from 8.4% in 2016 to 4.2% in 2022, despite government's claim about borrowing to build roads and other infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the true state of our nation.
When Asidi Ketia was campaigning to become campaign manager, one of the key elements, or one of the key arguments for his leadership was that he was bringing this kind of radicalism back to NDC, where the NDC was straight to the point and brutal, no management, no suppressing, no massaging of facts or figures, straight brutal, and that's what we saw on Monday. So the chairman of the NDC had actually said a lot. He said a lot on Monday. So, and from just the base that we have, I want to start from the top. He said that before COVID, before COVID, the country was already in a mess. And mind you, today we are trying to answer whether or not the true, in quotation, the true state of nation that was delivered by the NDC is actually true. And they said that before COVID, the country was in a mess. And that even before Russia and Ukraine, which happened later, the economy of the country was still in a mess because our public debt was already ballooning to unsustainable levels. In the present situation that we find ourselves as a country, the key or the first or the biggest thing we have started with is debt problems, debt crisis. So we are actually going through a debt crisis. And the debt crisis is because the government cannot afford to service the debt he owes, both domestically and then externally. And that's one of the reasons why the government had to run to the IMF. Now, we are all aware of the domestic debt exchange program. This exchange program was suggested by the IMF for the government to implement, and then try and push some debt away for the future, so that when the debt is in the future, it actually gives you some kind of briefing room so that you can relax and then take care of some aspects of your economy before you can go back to paying the debt. What happened is that the government brought in or implemented the domestic debt exchange, and that one has been largely successful on the domestic front, where the subscribers the government had almost 80%, 85% subscriber rates one of the highest in recent memory, and also as a very quick what you call time in a very short time. But one of the concerns of that particular thing is that a lot of money, a lot of haircuts has been felt by a lot of investors. So that's what we are started with now. And because of that, the government has always maintained that COVID and Ukraine, Russia has been the cause of where we are right now. But no, according to Asidun Ketia on Money, said that no, even before COVID, bro, you guys were already overborrowing. You were already overborrowing. And that the debt levels were staggering and unsustainable. In actual fact, what he actually added was that if you look at what's happened what happened for the government after COVID, as much as 30 billion Ghana cedis in revenue, free revenue, entered into the coffers of government or fell into the laps of the president. So, if you're actually blaming COVID for where we are, then you are being what? Dishonest with the people. And this is what Asidun Ketia said. Because during the time of COVID, we saw that a lot of support. People were giving money left, right, center, middle, up, down. From every corner, people were giving you money. There was money in the system. But according to the NDC chairman, he says that no, these monies were spent for election campaign or election purposes. Charlie, if you're in Tambali, you knew that there was some ayalona that was spent. People were taking some loans, some monies. A lot of monies were spent during the election. A lot of money, bro. A lot of money. So for the NDC, these are the causes of our problems, and not COVID and Ukraine and Russia. First, we borrowed to a point that we couldn't even sustain what they were borrowing, and as we are facing right now, the debt crisis. It shows that yes, indeed, we actually were borrowed more than we can pay for, we can sustain. But interestingly, when we were faced with COVID, we actually had more money. We actually had money in the system. That if the government was prudent enough, they would have prevented the debt crisis that we are faced with. Especially when the Asidun Ketia reference other countries, our neighbor countries, including Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Coda. They are doing better, much better than we are. They are not facing debt crisis, and they also were faced with COVID, and are still faced with the Russia and Ukraine war. Well, that's one of the points. One of the other points that he mentioned was that agriculture. This particular address of Asidun Ketia was just to bring down, just to paint, let everybody know that okay, for them, in the perspective of the NDC, the government has failed terribly to manage our economy. So the agriculture decline in agri-produce. If you watch something carefully in the address, by the time I'm done, you see it clearly. So economy, Dr. Baumia attacked because with the COVID monies and then the COVID levies that we are still paying, and then the excuse that COVID and Russia, COVID and Ukraine and Russia war are what caused our mess. According to NDC, no. And you can see that this particular section of the summary of Nketia actually just goes directly to Dr. Boya because he is the head of the economic management team. Now let's go to Agric. In Agric, we have the famous planting for food and jobs policy that is being implemented by the government to help boost agricultural produce in the country. But according to what the presentation or the address that Asidun Ketia gave, agriculture produce is actually on the decline. And so you can't tout yourself as having achieved in agriculture through the planting for food and jobs policy, yet there's still a decline in agri produce. Now, who else also is campaigning for NPP leadership in the agri sector? The former agri minister. So obviously, once you attack the agri sector, you are actually attacking Okoto Osei, even though you are giving it to NPP as a whole. One of the next points that he mentioned was the manufacturing sector, where the rate of manufacturing also, according to him, is down, and it's not as painted as the government tries to say that no, we are doing or we're improving on that sector. And he mentioned specifically that the fact that there's low industry, there's low manufacturing rate, it means that even the government's much touted 1D, 1F, has been a failure. And so the picture that the government or the president try to paint in parliament is not the true case. This is actually the argument of Asede Ketia. But another interesting perspective is that who was in charge of the 1D1F, the minister in charge of trade and industry? Who was the minister in charge of trade and industry? Mr. Alan Chairmanten. And obviously, Alan Chairmanten is going to be what? Is contesting, or is going to contest for the what? The flag bearership of the MPP. So whilst Asede Ketia was out in his address attacking the performances of the MPP, if you look at the sections of this attack, they were actually what? Side or subliminal attacks on the people who are actually volunteering to lead the MPP in the next election. First, in the economy, Dr. Baumia, our current vice president. Second, in Agric, former minister for Agric, who also wants to become the flag bearer of the MPP. And then third, the manufacturing industry, against what? Mr. Alan Chairmanten, who also wants to become what? Who also wants to lead the MPP in the next election. But for you listening to me, you listen, do you believe or do you actually find this is a true account of the state of the nation? This is a true account. How true is the NDC's true state of nation address? Let's take a break at this point. This one's out to you. You have your own judgment to make. Let's take a very short break. When we come back, we look at the other aspects of the show, including the new electoral commissions that have been appointed. The NDC have reacted to that, and then we also look at ECG cutting lights of public institutions. There's an update for me that we'll share with you shortly when we come back from the show. But still can stay with us. We'll be right back after the show.
On the 25th of March 2023, Akufo-Addo is going to turn up. Yeah, Ghana Talks Radio invades the city with the GTR Pool and Games Night Party. Saturday, the 25th of March 2023, live at the Canadian Dream Hotel. 2 streams. Akufo-Addo. Time is 3 p.m. till next day. Rate is a cool 40 Ghana cedis at the gate. Advance, grab 2 tickets, 70 Ghana cedis. There's going to be lots of games, raffle draws, and giveaways. Artists performing live. Strongman. Contact Rock, Kill Song, Crazy Baby, Rashid Metal, Silence, Ken Clay, Omar Benner, Ken Millie, Hopkins, Mr. G, Ants Blade, Obey, Tishan Ruler, Rainfall, and Johnny K, MCs, DJ Kinino, and Kobe Slim, DJ Slim B, DJ Rich, DJ Kobe Ray, DJ Charm, and DJ Raw. Grab your ticket from Canadian Dream Hotel for live haircut, Lumen Power, Rumor Spa, Bright FM, Eastern FM, Freedom FM, Mine FM, and KTU Campus. Sponsor, Thames Flow Investments Limited, Thames Metal Corporation, GTR Sound, and BB Superfine Bakery. For sponsorship and ticket reservation, call 0202-544-614 or visit www.ghanatalksradio.com for more information. There's a GTR Pool and Games Night Party. Chill with the stars.
Every occasion demands the company of good music that fits the purpose. At GTR Sounds, we understand your need to create just the right atmosphere for your wedding or engagement, party, funeral, crusade, political campaign or rally, or just any other event, as well as executive and corporate functions. With our modern and high-quality spinning machines, mixers, microphones, and power amplifiers, binary speakers, and subs, we offer the highest of sound quality and music play at your events and functions. At GTR Sounds, we have a team of seasoned and highly experienced sound engineers who understand just the right choice of music for your event. Locate our studios at Aponchi Hotel in Anya or call our numbers 054-8522-897 or 027-3363-973. You can also reach via our email sounds@ghanatalksradio.com. At GTR Sounds, we take care of your event.
Because legendary, your one and only host for Nigerian Rendezvous. I feel like make you join me every Wednesdays and Saturdays from 12 to 1:30 p.m. as I go to summer you with the latest news and gist directly from Obodo, Nigeria. Don't forget to still catch up on all our previous episodes of Nigerian Rendezvous on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Facebook Podcast, and via our website www.ghanatalksradio.com, or make it Google carry us for your pocket by downloading our Ghana Talks Radio app via Android, Google Play, and iOS App Store. Make you feel the enjoy enjoy our other Sengemenge shows. Follow us on our social media platforms at Ghana Talks Radio for other interesting story with the draw from our Optomot. No talks here, I no tell you. Omo Yami, Oya Jima soon.
Ecstatic made it. Yeah. Nobody feeling the way I'm feeling tonight. Yeah. And I have the hope that.
So welcome back to the Cubicle live on Ghana Talks Radio. To our next story, we actually had this morning. ECG has been what trending, but I say ECG, Electoral Commission, and ECG, the two of them. But on the EC front, there's a very, very important issue that we can address on this particular platform, and it has to do with some new commissioners that have been appointed by the president, His Excellency Akufo-Addo. So the story is that the President Akufo-Addo on Monday saw in 3 new members of the Electoral Commission governing board. They included Reverend Ikua Ofori, Batin Salima, Ahmed Tijani, and Dr. Peter Apia Henim. The appointment is in line with Article 4, 3, 1, and 2 of the 1992 Constitution, which says that there shall be an EC of a chairman, 2 deputy chairmen, and 4 other members. The members of the commission shall be appointed by the president under Article 70. Our president has so much power, like so much power. The president is appointing members of the commission, and this is just too much power for the president. You should not be the one appointing EC. If in Nigeria like this, as today the Peter Obi is actually petitioning the court in Nigeria to on some grounds. If imagine Muhammadu Buhari was the one appointed, I think I have to even confirm this one from Nigeria from Cousin. But if President Buhari was the one appointing EC members, it would have been worse in Nigeria as we see today. So the point or the law that the president should appoint EC, I think it just gives the president too much power that he doesn't need. So at a brief ceremony at the Jubilee House, the president administered the oath of office, allegiance, and secrecy to all these 3 persons, having come into office 21 months before the 2024 general election, and at a time when Ghana was seeking to entrench her credentials as the beginning of democracy in Africa. He told them that it is the quality of your work that will reassure the Ghanaian people that the democratic system of government that they have chosen for their governance will be properly nurtured by an electoral system that allows their voices to be plainly and loudly heard. And I think this is where we need to just brave our discussion on that. The fact that we as Ghanaians chose democracy, right, as a system of government, their work as much as members of the government board of EC will let us be assured that our voices will be plainly and loudly heard. Now, a lot of people are against this particular appointment because, according to reports, according to speculations out there on social media, one of these members is a known MPP member. One of these members is a known MPP member. A lot of commentary has been ongoing about it online, but we'll listen to NDC's MP Akufo-Addo to hear what he says about that particular appointment and the general view of people or party people being appointed to join the EC. Then we'll come back and then we'll give our 2 pieces on this particular issue here.
We also accept this appointment in the symbolism of a fresh journey ahead of us, a journey to meet the high expectations of the various stakeholders, especially the over 32 million Ghanaians. This is not an appointment that one will take it lightly, especially looking at how important and sensitive the work of the Commission is. We are therefore aware of the massive responsibilities and tasks that come with it. We want to state that we are poised and more prepared to deliver and contribute to the development of our democracy, especially in this digital era.
We must all be concerned. As journalists, you must be concerned. As religious leaders, we must be concerned. Civil society must be concerned that there are some institutions that we call them independent bodies. And right from the commencement of this very fourth republic, all presidents we have had have worked so hard to keep such institutions as much as possible away from partisanship. But this current president have decided to desecrate all these independent institutions, including the Electoral Commission, and have arranged to pack it with known faces, known activists of New Patriotic Party. Dr. Bosman was one of them, and we all saw after his appointment comments he made to suggest that the NDC was an existential threat to democracy. This is the first time we have heard a commissioner, for that matter, a deputy chair of Electoral Commission, make such a comment. This was so because of his partisan consideration. Lessons have not been learned from that. We are now still packing it more with more TESCOM members or patrons. This is not right. This is not appropriate. I'm not saying that maybe individually they may not have the requisite qualification, but their partisan association should bar them from occupying.
Mr. President, we also...
Yeah, so that's the take of Akufo-Addo, NDC MP. But earlier, speaking or accepting the nomination or the appointment was the man. A lot of people are saying he's a known MPP patron, a named MPP sympathizer. That's not what I'm discussing right now. What I'm trying to discuss is that to what extent can we trust our electoral process where elections or those who handle our elections have party colors? Now this question is very, very important because in Ghana, this is not the first time that the credibility of the election actually starts from the credibility of those conducting the elections. So today in Nigeria, there's a lot of protest, a lot of outcry, a lot of demonstration that the APC did not win the election because a lot of people who are calling out or who are against this particular election of Tinubu is because they do not trust the INEC. They do not trust INEC in Nigeria. And this is happening, this is very, very common in Africa. Like, I think that the ECs in Africa should actually find a technology, a way to just come in and make the processes more credible. Now back to our country. If you give the opposition a cause to claim that you have plans to rig the election or to manipulate the results of election, just based on the appearance of you putting in known members of the MPP in the Electoral Commission, then just before the election, even before the election has started, you are already there's already going to be a degradation of the credibility of the process from the beginning, even before it begins. And that's very, very dangerous for any democracy. So let's go back to what the president said when he was appointing them or giving them the administering the oath. He says that these new issues should work, or their work will demonstrate to us that the fact that we chose democracy is the best, and that our plans, our voices will be heard. Now, if you give a signal that you are putting in members of MPP in EC, and the question is that how does that even tell the people that their voices will be heard? Because from the onset, there were issues of credibility, and that's what the country does not need in the next election. That we don't want the process whereby the credibility of every election is being contested. I think this should be a thing of the past in Africa. That for a continent that actually adopted democracy in the early 80s, should not be struggling with election systems and mere credibility of elections in 2023. But unfortunately, that's what a lot of African countries are going through. And it's taking us back, a lot back. Today, a lot of protests, a lot of, disorder in Nigeria because they do not trust the INEC. They do not trust the Independent National Electoral Commission in the country to deliver a credible election. So quite apart from the results, the credibility of any election starts from those who are organizing the election. And as much as possible, our political leaders should always be mindful of that particular fact and reality. But the bigger problem is not even the politicians or the presidents or those who do the appointments. It's the law. The law is what is giving the president the power to appoint some ECs. And so what do you expect the president to do? Like, do you expect him to say he won't do that particular appointment, or he will make that particular appointment? They said our constitution actually created a what? What do you call it? This kind of empire president, right? So our only prayer is that we get a president who is a good president, who is a good man, so he hold us, he can rule over the country in a just manner, in a fair manner, in a very equitable manner. But that's very, very difficult to achieve when you look at the process of electing a president in a country. So why doesn't the law just say that no, bro, don't even appoint anybody to the EC, don't fire the EC, don't elect the EC. Remember that this particular government actually caused Charlotte to be fired. So the more these things happen, the more people have concerns, the more people raise credibility issues. And whenever there's no credibility from the beginning of the elections, especially about those organizing elections, then that issue of concern, that issue of lack of credibility will pop up when the elections or the way the results will not go in the favor of those calling for that particular one or those calling against that particular lack of credibility. And another thing that we have to point it out, we have to talk about it, that the law should be at least amended. Article 17, which gives the president the power to appoint, should be removed, should be repealed. Most of our problems, if you cannot change the constitution, if you cannot change it as a whole, let's take out some of this small laws, this one clauses, and then we can or articles, then we can move ahead small, then we get to a point that we have a very a developed constitution. That satisfies the aspiration of the people. Our next story is about ECG, then we'll wrap up. ECG has been on a rampant exercise, cutting off the lights of a lot of public institutions. Now, our issue is not who is owing what, even though we'll mention a few. So, according to reports, a lot of institutions owe a lot to the government. Now, like I said, the problem is that in what way do we prevent that kind of conflict, that kind of friction among the ECG and other public institutions? Because the kind of debt that this institution owe is very, 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 very unsustainable. So Parliament pays 8.5 million Ghana cedis out of 13 million owed to ECG. 13 million Ghana cedis. 13 million. And Parliament has paid 8.5. Ghana Airport, they also said they also paid 10 million out of 28 million. Imagine. So how can we as a country just get to a point where we decide that no, this thing should not be happening in our public administration systems? How does this affect what? Will this affect the administration of these particular agencies? How does it affect the economy of the country? How does it affect the revenue generation drive of the ECG? A lot of money just being lost because the laws are not working, or the laws are not being are not the proper laws in the country. The update that I was talking about is that the ECG is saying that the boss is saying that no, he has been called to stop the discouraging exercises. Let me read that story. So the ECG manager has referred that he has received calls to stop the disconnection exercise they are embarking on to retrieve unpaid debts. According to Samuel Dubik Mahama, the calls he received are from friends, power brokers, and politicians. Obviously, who will call you? The poor man cannot call you, only those who have the money and the power. He said the request made is, can you hold off? Can you at least just stay put and let's see what happens? The ECG boss made this disclosure to Nigeria News Express on Tuesday. This follows the power company's massive disconnection operation on Monday in an effort to pay off a debt of 5.7 billion Ghana cedi. Imagine, local debt of 5.7 billion Ghana cedi. And most of these institutions are those owing that particular huge amounts of money. So it's like you are sitting on a branch of a tree and you're cutting yourself down. That's just what it is, basically. Nothing more, nothing less. Because you cannot see you're looking for money, you are trying to generate resources, revenue. And at the same time, you are the one not paying your you are the one not paying your debt. You are the one not paying the dues. So that tells you what kind of system that we are running in this country, where anybody can just see what they want to see because they are in the position to say it, but essentially they don't actually practice what they represent. So you cannot be asking for prudency, right? You cannot be asking for accountability. You cannot be asking for what? Law and order, respect rule of law, and then you yourself, the institutions that you man, are also faulting. But the question is that why are you not even able to pay your debt? A big problem. We have a lot of issues. So we have a lot of issues. Just get up and go to work as an institution. Or the system, the administration of that institution cannot help itself pay its own large debt. It's actually a very big problem. It's actually a very big problem. This is where I'll end my conversation on the Cubicle Live on Ghana Talks Radio. My name is Manasa Lawrence. You can watch the playback of this particular edition on our website www.ghanatalksradio.com. Go to our catch-up session, and then you can rewatch all our shows. Also, what you can do is that you can download our GTR app from all app stores to keep enjoying our content. And follow us on social media at Ghana Talks Radio on all social media platforms. My name has been Lance Lawrence. This has been the Cape Code, and I've been held down by DJ Coverage. Later today at 8 p.m. we will have GA Trends full of all the trending stories in Ghana coming your way. Still can stay, enjoy more music, enjoy more entertainment from Ghana Talks Radio. Bye bye.
Ecstatic made it. Yeah. Nobody feeling the way I'm feeling tonight. Yeah. And I have the hope that things will be alright. Yeah. So we're feeling irate as we hustle all day long. We are hoping, say that one day things go better. Jale, oh, jale, here we go again. When the things go harder, stronger than Umaga. Brother, know the quiver, we go smack up like Undertaker. When the things go harder, we go stronger than Umaga. Yeah, oh, we go smack up Undertaker. Jaleo.